This is commentary on lesson 138 in the Workbook for A Course in Miracles. Heaven is the decision I must make. One of the main learning goals of the course is to reduce our sense of guilt and entirely get rid of it, because it's the opposite of love. It's the opposite of who we really are. And one of the ways that it slowly goes about doing that is convincing us that what we really want in every situation is love, and it approaches us on our conscious level, where we, sanely assert, we do feel consciously, well, yeah, that's all that I want is love. But what we don't realize is that unconsciously there's this real resistance to love, and so that's why we train ourselves to look inside and go down and to see that and then bring it up, and so then we can make another conscious choice for that love. So what we've been covering in the last few lessons is these defenses against love, which we've been planning for just this little self, and not hearing plans that's the good for everybody. And in that kind of planning, there's an unconscious sense of guilt, because we're just thinking about ourselves instead of the greater good. And then we talked about sickness as a defense, all these things. And so in lessons like this, it's trying to uncover this notion that unconsciously there's this deep resistance to love. And so when we bring that up and see the foolishness of that, when we recognize that it is there unconsciously, see the foolishness, then we can make another decision. And so this lesson here addresses the fact that when we made up a world that has a lot of things but love, we made up a world that's unreal and it's illusionary, and that because love is really the only thing that exists, and so it's not really a choice for it, because you're not really, if it's the only thing there is, it can't be a choice for it, because choice implies that there's two things. But since we do believe there's an opposite to love and fear, then what we have to do is train ourselves to make that choice again for love. And in here it talks about love as heaven. And so what this lesson is really focusing on is to bring to our attention that we think we have to make many kinds of decisions. Should I go to the concert? Should I not go to the concert? Should I go to this? Should I go to that? And what it's trying to get us to do is reframe our problem set down to one in which we're either going to make a choice to experience love, or we're going to make a choice to experience fear and guilt. And when we understand that and we make that choice inside for love, then the other choices, sub-choices, parts of that will be made for love, because we'll be listening to that inner voice that's helping us make decisions for the collective good, for everybody, for our sharing our experience of having chosen for love. Okay, so heaven is the decision I must make. In this world, heaven is a choice, because here we believe there are alternatives to choose between. We think that all things have an opposite, and what we want, we choose. If heaven exists, there must be hell as well, for contradiction is the way we make what we perceive and what we think is real. So it goes on to say, creation knows no opposite. In other words, there is no opposite to love. There really is no fear, but that's what we invented, was an opposite to love: fear, guilt, separation. So, but here opposition is part of being quote-unquote real. It is this strange perception of the truth that makes the choice of heaven seem to be the same as the relinquishment of hell. It is not really thus, yet what is true in God's creation cannot enter here until it is reflected in some form the world can understand, and that form is forgiveness. That's the choice that we're making here, is the forgiveness that we that we practice towards others or towards ourselves. Truth cannot come where it could only be perceived with fear. And so it's talking about our fear of love is what causes us to resist forgiving ourselves or others. For this would be the error that truth can be brought to illusions. Opposition makes the truth unwelcome and it cannot come. Choice is the obvious escape from what appears as opposites. Decision lets one of conflicting goals become the aim of effort and expenditure of time. Without decision, time is but a waste and effort dissipated. It is spent for nothing in return, and time goes by without results. There is no sense of gain, for nothing is accomplished and nothing learned. You need to be reminded that you think 1,000 choices are confronting you when there really is only one to make, and even this but seems to be a choice, right? So love is all that there is. Choice, making a decision and choice implies that there's alternatives, that there's more than one thing. But if there is only one thing, it's not really a choice. It's just what's there. And so it seems to be a choice for love, but it's really not the case. But since we made decisions and choices, we have to apply it to this act of remembering love. Do not confuse yourself with all the doubts that a myriad of decisions would induce. You make but one, and when that one is made, you will perceive it was no choice at all. For truth is true and nothing else is true. There is no opposite to choose instead. There is no contradiction to the truth. In other words, separation never happened. The fear that we think we invented is not really there. But we won't know that until we understand that our choices are between love and this seeming fear, and that we do choose for that love, i.e. forgiveness, the miracle, and then we'll know that that's all that there really is. That's the real world we're heading ourselves towards, just an experience of love. Choosing depends on learning, and the truth cannot be learned, but only recognized. In recognition, its acceptance lies, and as it is accepted, it is known. But knowledge is beyond the goals we seek to teach within the framework of this course. Ours are teaching goals to be attained through learning how to reach them, what they are, and what they offer you. Decisions are the outcome of your learning, for they rest on what you accepted as the truth of what you are and what your needs must be. In this insanely complicated world, heaven appears to take the form of choice, rather than merely being what it is. Of all the choices you've tried to make, this is the simplest, most definitive, and prototype of all the rest, and the one which settles all decisions. If you could decide the rest, this one remains unresolved. But when you solve this one, the others are resolved with it, for all decisions but conceal this one by taking different forms. And so when we reframe our situations and our problems to understanding that the problem is we forgot who we are, we forgot that love is the only thing that exists, we believe we invented something else, and in that moment we choose to come inside and choose the miracle or the love or whatever way that's being expressed to us at that moment through our inner teacher, then we'll recognize that all the other things that we do, all the other decisions that we make will be ones in which we just experience love. So the decision of do I go to the concert or do I not, you understand that that choice is really one for love or for fear, and you make it for love, and then you see that's the case, and then you know better what to do. Well, I'll go, yes, because the choice for going to that concert is one for love. That's what the goal is in that situation. But when you solve this one, the others are resolved with it, for all decisions but conceal this one by taking different forms. Here's the final and the only choice in which truth is accepted or denied. So we begin today considering the choice that time was made to help us make. Such is its holy purpose, now transformed from the intent you gave it. So this is, again, everything that we made, and we gave it a purpose of forgetting that love that's there, then the Holy Spirit changes the purpose of that situation to remember who we are. So now the purpose of time is and its only purpose is for us to remember our choice for love and for us to have that experience of love. Such is its holy purpose, now transformed from the intent you gave it, that it be a means for demonstrating hell is real, hope changes to despair, and life itself. Now this is what, when we choose for other than love, that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to demonstrate hell is real, hope changes to despair, life itself must in the end be overcome by death. In death alone are opposites resolved, for ending opposition is to die, and thus salvation must be seen as death, for life is seen as conflict. To resolve the conflict is to end your life as well. So again, when we have these myriad of decisions that we're going to make, and we don't understand it's just between love and fear, then what we're going to do is make our decisions based on just our interests, just our little life, rather than hearing the voice for truth or the voice of our inner guide that will help us make a choice that will be for the good for everyone. And that's the choice that relieves us of the guilt, and that's the choice that brings the experience of love, because love is really shared. It's our central problem is we think it's special. We think it's just going to be about us. So, but these unconscious beliefs are there, that there's other choices to be made, and we're going to get trapped into the hell of making those choices. So then he goes on to say, these mad beliefs can gain unconscious hold of great intensity and grip the mind with terror and anxiety so strong that it will not relinquish its ideas about its own protection. In other words, we think we should, when we're afraid of love, when we think love will all consume us and destroy this little self that we made, then we're afraid of it. And so we think we need to be protected from love. That's the unconscious belief. Please protect me from love. It must be saved from salvation, threatened to be safe, and magically armored against truth. And these decisions are made unaware to keep them safely undisturbed, apart from question, from reason, and from doubt. So, how do we change that? Heaven is chosen consciously. The choice cannot be made until alternatives are accurately seen and understood. All that is veiled in shadows must be raised to understanding, to be judged again, this time with heaven's help, and all mistakes in judgment that the mind had made before are open to correction, as the truth dismisses them as causeless. Now they are without effects. They cannot be concealed because their nothingness is recognized. The conscious choice of heaven is as sure as is the ending of the fear of hell when it is raised from its protective shield of unawareness and is brought to light. Who can decide between the clearly seen and the unrecognized? Yet who can fail to make a choice between alternatives when only one is seen as valuable, the other as wholly worthless thing, a but imagined source of guilt and pain? Who hesitates to make a choice like this? And shall we hesitate to choose today? We make the choice for heaven as we wake and spend 5 minutes. So this is the longer practice period. We'll only spend 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. We make the choice for heaven as we wake and spend 5 minutes making sure that we have made the one decision that is sane. We recognize we make a conscious choice between what has existence and what has nothing but an appearance of truth. So we're choosing between love and fear. Love and fear. And fear's not really there. It's just this appearance that's there, and we'll know that when we make this conscious choice for love. That fear, that sense of hell, anxiety, it has pseudo-being brought to what is real and is flimsy and transparent in the light. It holds no terror now, for what was made enormous, vengeful, pitiless with hate, demands obscurity for fear to be invested there. Now it is recognized as but a foolish, trivial mistake. And before we close our eyes and sleep tonight, we reaffirm the choice we have made each hour in between. So we're going to practice at 5 minutes at night before we go to bed, and then the practice during the day is going to be every hour for a minute. And now we give the last 5 minutes of our waking day to the decision with which we awoke. And as every hour passed, we have declared our choice again in a brief, quiet time devoting to maintaining sanity. And finally, we close the day with this, acknowledging we chose but what we want. Heaven is the decision I must make, and I make it now and will not change my mind because it is the only thing I want. So that's what we're going for, is that just is to recognize that all we really do want is love, that we invented something that's the opposite of love, which would be special love just for ourselves, that that's fear and guilt, and that we recognize that that isn't what we want. We really do want just that love, and then we make that choice, and then all our other choices that we make follow from that. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.